What's up guys, welcome to another video. Today we're reviewing Glass. This one came out in 2019, was directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and stars Bruce Willis, Samuel Jackson, and James McAvoy. Now before we start, don't forget that like button, subscribe to the post notification bell so you know for every video, and let's just start. Let's start talking about the good. So all the actors and actors in this film are fantastic. Of course you have Bruce Willis, Samuel Jackson, James McAvoy, Charlene Woodard, Anya Taylor-Joy, Sarah Paulson, Spencer Treat Clark. They are very, very good in this film. The opening sequence is great. It's basically Kevin Wendell Crumb torturing the cheerleaders, and David Dunn, of course, has to save them, and he fights two of the criminals, and it's awesome. It's a very, very good opening sequence. This first act of the film is great. I really think they set up the characters, well, the new characters, um, well enough. And by new, I mean Sarah Paulson's character. The rest of them were returning characters, and they did do a good job with giving you just a little bit of backstory just to remember the new characters, well, the returning characters that come from Unbreakable. The cinematography, which of course was shots, cameras, and lighting, fantastic. M. Night Shyamalan knows how to create shots that'll make you feel unsettled and on the edge of your seat, and there are a lot of sequences like that in this film, especially that cheerleader sequence. Very, very tense. The relationship between David Dunn and Joseph Dunn was great. I really think they did a good job with the relationship between those two characters in this film. Of course, in the original Unbreakable, they had a good relationship, but in this film, they expand that, and I really, really liked what they did. Dr. Ellie Staple, who was played by Sarah Paulson, is a very, very good villain. She's actually a great villain, in my opinion, because she's basically the mastermind behind everything that happens in this film. And there are some plot points which I'll get to later in this review, but by the end of the third act, which of course I'll get to later, she is the mastermind. Um, a great M. Night Shyamalan cameo. M. Night Shyamalan always has great cameos in his films, and this is one of those times. The Beast is once again terrifying. James McAvoy is phenomenal once again as Kevin Wendell Crumb, and the Beast is absolutely horrifying in this film. Kevin Wendell Crumb's 24 personalities are always enjoyable and terrifying to see, especially in the sequence with Kevin and Mr. Glass in the psychiatrist sequence, where he transfers from one personality to the next. And of course, you have Sarah Paulson, you have James McAvoy, of course, you have Mr. Glass, played by Samuel Jackson, and Bruce Willis, all in that one sequence together, and it is fantastic. The second half of the film I thought was great. It continued the story good enough, and I was very, very entertained with the second act. The action sequences. Now, there are some awesome action sequences, especially the entire factory sequence with David Dunn versus the Beast. Like I said, this is the cheerleading sequence where he has the cheerleaders taking them hostage. And that entire sequence, the fight between the Beast and David Dunn, fantastic. And David Dunn's character is called the Overlooker, or the Overseer. And I really, really like that name because he is always in the shadows in this film. And he always has the hood on. And it's fantastic. There are also many creepy and terrifying sequences, especially the bear hug sequence, which is in the second act where the Beast kills the doctor with a bear hug, and Mr. Glass just watches the entire thing in his wheelchair, and it's horrifying. That is one of the most terrifying sequences in this entire trilogy. The score from Wes Dillon Thorson, very, very creepy, and I thought it was very, very good because it does add to emotional sequences, especially in that third act, which I'll get to later. The flashback sequences are great. Of course, there are going to be flashbacks to Unbreakable because you have two of the characters from that film returning in this film, and we haven't seen them, of course, for 19 years. So I really, really enjoyed the flashback sequences. The dialogue, I thought it was great. The dialogue, M. Night Shyamalan knows how to write his scripts, and this is no exception in terms of dialogue. The third act of the film is awesome. I really, really enjoyed the third act. It's David Dunn versus the Beast. Of course, Mr. Glass is always in the background. He's not physically fighting, but he's always mentally fighting those two characters, and it's very, very well done. And there are also some emotional sequences in the third act of the film. Of course, you have the death sequences of the three lead characters, which I did not expect that at all for M. Night Shyamalan to actually kill off his three lead characters. He killed off David Dunn, Kevin Wendell Crumb, and Elijah Price. They all die in the third act. Kevin Wendell Crumb gets shot, he's in the Beast in that sequence, and then he turns it back into Kevin Wendell Crumb. David Dunn, of course, he does not like water, so of course he dies by drowning, and Elijah Price gets punched by the Beast, and he ends up coughing blood, and of course his bones break easily, so he died because of that. The twist in the third act was great. All the superheroes, which that's what they call themselves, of course, there's a reference to the superhero aspect of the characters. And Mr. Glass mentions some can still bend steel, and it shows David Dunn bending the steel, and of course Joseph Dunn is watching, crying. Very, very emotional, and it works very, very well. And of course, the twist where Sarah Paulson indirectly kills them all. She's of course hiding behind the van while all those three characters die, and it was very, very unsettling and very emotional. And it was a great twist. And the ending sequence, I thought it was a great ending. I really, really liked what they did. So the three lead characters were the three secondary characters: Anya Taylor-Joy, Spencer Treat Clark, and Charlene Woodard. They're all sitting down and watching people's reactions to their relatives or their superhero relatives, which is the Beast breaking steel. David Dunn breaking steel. Of course, the Beast running around, and Mr. Glass in the wheelchair as the mastermind. Great ending sequence. That's all the good that I have now as we want to the bad. So some sequences do go a bit slow for me. I really, really like slow burn kind of horror psychological thriller films like this, but there are some sequences that could have been cut and condensed to make it feel more enjoyable to watch. That's about it. Glass is a good conclusion to the Unbreakable trilogy. I recommend it if you're a fan of the Unbreakable franchise, and I recommend it, and I'm going to give Glass a B. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the post notification bell so you know for a video. I'm Peter. Thank you for watching.